Hello. Sorry, oh my God. The lights is so white. Wow. Mm, not much better. Okay. All right, we're just gonna have to live with it. All right. Hello. I'm just gonna go ahead and apologize again, real quick, for the connection. There is something on the way, and it should be here tomorrow to help with the apparently now not great signal in this room. So um, just bear with it for one more stream, and it should be fixed by the next time I go live. So sorry about that. And also, really quick, want to make sure I plop the doc in the chat and pin it really quick. Let's see. Da, 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 da. Copy. All right. We're going to pin that. Okay. All right. Get it all done. Start. Hi. Welcome, guys. Hi, Thomas. Hi, Mindy. Hey. Hey, y'all. All right. Should be pinned to the top now for anybody maybe missed it before or whatever. I do have a document for Creepy Book Club that Marielle and Maddie added to. Thanks, guys. I incorporated it into today's discussion. I made some fun little banners to go up with some of the stuff you guys mentioned. So welcome. Loch Ness, welcome. Des. Catherine, Melissa, hi. Maddie, welcome. Okay, so before we get into it, you know the drill. Let's play a game. My scoreboard is not updated yet. This is not including yesterday's stream yet. I gotta add them all together. So I'll just add to my list, make one giant list here, and then I will update it for the next stream. So the game we are playing, it was unintentional, but yeah, I guess it was. I always try and make the games book related, and I feel like it's harder to do than just doing the horror trivial pursuit here. It's kind of easy. It's just guess the quote. I have quotes, 3 quotes here. And I'm gonna need you guys to tell me what horror book or horror story they're from. That's your first hint, I guess. That maybe these aren't all full novels. And they're all from horror classics. Try and make it as easy to guess as possible, get the widest audience. A more conceited hint, these are all from some of my favorite horror books / stories ever. So let's play the game really quick and warm up, and then let's get into White Horse. All right, so first quote, I will give hints if it's too difficult, but first quote, maybe, come on, there we go. His vesture was dabbled in blood, and his broad brow, with all the features of the face, was besprinkled with the scarlet horror. I did not put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Sorry. There we go. I heard that little chime go off in the middle. Ooh, nope, not Dracula. I guess I'll be nice. This is the one that is not a book. So this is not a full-on novel. This is a short story. From somebody that's always in my set behind me. I've got a Funko Pop of this author. Oh, okay. Yep, I see Loch Ness first. Hey, you are correct. It is Mask of the Red Death. The other 2 are books. Don't worry. Yeah. I was gonna say something, but it's gonna give something away. So I'm gonna keep my mouth shut until we get, until we get to the next one. Yep, until we get to the next one. Oh, let me just write you down here. All right, just gonna add you to my list. Nice guess. I don't know if you Googled it or not. Doesn't matter. You got it first. Okay. The next quote, these last two are from books. Okay, so yeah, make it a little easier. Welcome to my house. Come freely, go safely, leave something of the happiness you bring. I'm such a fucking nerd. I also have like a like crochet. I don't think it's crochet. It's like embroidered or something, and it like framed of this quote. There you go, Thomas. I was gonna say it's funny that you all guessed Dracula to start. This one's Dracula. I love this quote. It's always Dracula. That's so funny. Okay. Um, your guys' guesses are really funny. Your hint for the last one is you guys have already also guessed this one. All right, last one. All I could think of when I got a look at the place from the outside was what fun it would be to stand out there and watch it burn down. Cross stitch. Thank you. That's not the answer to this quote, but thank you. That's what I was looking for. Cross stitch. I have the Dracula quote cross stitched and framed. Because I love that quote, the previous quote. Oh, yes. Okay, Mindy got that one for the right question this time. It was The Haunting of Hill House. I feel like I always have to. I want to always have the game at Creepy Book Club to be book related, to celebrate the books. But I feel like it always has. I feel like I should always make it like classics or past Creepy Book Club picks, so that it's like everybody has like a somewhat equal chance. I feel like it's different from movies. Good job, you guys. And it was easy to just pull quotes from. No, that doesn't mean you're a fake horror fan. You should read it though, honestly. I'm biased, but it is one of my favorite horror books ever. So I would always recommend it to anybody. Oh, and you're not going to tell me the name right away? Come on. Should have seen a comment immediately following with the name. Tell us the name, please. Tell us the name. What's the name of it? All right. Well, as Thomas figures that out. Yeah, thank you. Don't gatekeep Sapphic Stories. Thank you. Thank you. It's called Nevermore. Okay. Writing that one down. Just write it on the back of my list here to add to the scoreboard. Nevermore comic. All right. Like, say less, honestly. Like, you got two things I love: Sapphics and Edgar Allan Poe. All right. Okay. So for anybody who popped in, it should be pinned at the top of the chat, the Creepy Book Club document. I used that to make some of these discussion questions. For sure, I pulled them from Marielle and Maddie, who added to the doc. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it. So let's get into this. I'm hoping most of you, or at least a few of you in here, have read White Horse. If not, obviously you're more than welcome to hang out. Just know that we are going to talk about the ending and spoil things. So as long as you're okay with that, you're cool to chill. Oh, immediately. Okay. Oh, so far this year, you said. Okay. Oh, and so far this year. I gotcha. So it's your favorite book you've read from Creepy Book Club, period. and also one of your favorites so far this year. Nice. Hey, Tana. Oh, you watched the movie and loved the book. All right. Popping in with important info. Appreciate that. You're just lurking? That's okay. Yeah, you're totally free to lurk. Absolutely. It feels like a white zombie, a Rob Zombie reference. No, it isn't. But I could see where you would think that for sure. Uh, there are references in this book to other works, though. I gotcha. Yeah. I understood. For anybody who is just like lurking and you want to know really quick what this is about, White Horse follows Carrie, who what a complicated character. Um, she's like this like metalhead horror book loving woman in her 30s that was seemingly abandoned by her mother at a really young age. And her cousin Debbie comes to her with a bracelet that she's come into possession of that was Carrie's mother's. And as soon as Carrie touches it, she starts seeing these like horrible visions of her like mother like screaming and like terrified, and visions of this monster, and it starts like destroying her life a little bit. She's losing sleep, it's affecting her work. So she sets out to kind of like solve the mystery of what actually happened to her mom, which up until this point Carrie has not really cared to figure out. And so that's kind of like the gist of what what is going on here for anybody who's just lurking, so you kind of know what we're talking about a little bit. uh Shot it. Don't worry, I'm saving room at the end of this stream so you can tell us all about your experience watching The Mummy. I know you guys did. I saw you guys in the Discord. I saw you guys there. Don't worry. I didn't peek though, so I didn't see if you guys were like leaving comments and stuff. I didn't look to see. I love her so much and will attack whoever says a bad thing about her. Yeah, it is a really interesting character study for sure. Carrie is probably one of the more complicated characters like I remember reading, at least recently, for sure, for sure. I use Storygraph mainly to I say mainly, I only use Storygraph. I don't use Goodreads anymore. um I use Storygraph to log my reads, and when you do like a review, there are like questions that like anybody can answer, and they pop up at the top of the reviews, like is it like fast, slow, medium paced, and one of the questions is always, were the characters lovable? And you have options, yes, no, and it's complicated. And for this one, my knee-jerk reaction was like, it's complicated. She's Carrie's not a bad character at all. She's complicated and she's a little hard to love at times, which is part of the thing, okay? Um it's kind of part of her deal. It's part of her character arc, I should say. So at the beginning, maybe not the most lovable character, but you said no to were the characters likable. Okay. None of them? In like any of the characters? Goodreads does suck. Yeah, I don't use Goodreads anymore. Um, okay, so I think that kind of actually kind of can kick us off with a discussion here, since we're talking about Carrie a little bit, being maybe not the most lovable character at times. Marielle in her notes wrote down a lot of the themes in the book, so I kind of like bullet pointed them for these here. So one of the big themes in the book is toxic relationships of all kinds. I should point out, like I feel like kind of like your main relationship types are all kind of covered. There's like toxic, like like parental relationships, friendships, romantic relationships. It's a little like there's a lot of complicated, I should say. Maybe not all of them are necessarily toxic, but they're all definitely complicated. Um relationships. And so when I think about like Carrie being like not the most lovable character, the first character I thought of was Debbie, who is kind of like the touchstone for like Carrie not being maybe the most likable person all the time. And yet Debbie sticks around all the time, and I just feel like Debbie is the sweetest character. If she was real, I would propose right away. Oh my god. Yeah, she was a little frustrating at times. I think that's the point. I think especially in the beginning to like set her up for her growth for sure. She is relatable for sure. And the cat lady, so I automatically loved her. I love how she's kind of like a reluctant cat lady too. Like she has her favorite cat at the White Horse, which is a bar. Um, and then by the end of the book, she asks if she can take that cat home, and it's kind of like admitting, like, okay, yeah, I love cats. Auntie Squeaker was your fave. Auntie Squeaker was like that frustrating wizard that just knows everything and is just going to selectively give you the information just at the right time and not, even though they know all the information right away. You know what I mean? She's flawed in a way I can fix. Oh my god, Maddie. Carrie doesn't seem like a relationship type of girl though. Her emotional distance and edgy attitude really give you pick me energy. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I could see that a little bit. I could see that. I think mostly too because she was so like adamant in her opinions on that too, especially when it comes to Debbie and Jack's relationship, which is like one of the more toxic, if not the most toxic relationship in the book. That's the scary relationship in the book. Oops, sorry. Um, that's the scary relationship in the book for sure. And Carrie certainly has her opinions on Debbie and Jack's relationship. Their whole relationship was whew, like the three of them too, because it's like they each like Carrie and Debbie have their thing going on, Debbie and Jack have their thing going on, and then the three of them also kind of have like a complicated relationship because Jack is very possessive. I was like, how can I say this? Like he's an asshole. Um and doesn't want Debbie hanging out with anybody. And Carrie is always kind of trying to tell Debbie like you should leave him because that's toxic as fuck. So it's like, yeah, I guess I maybe didn't get the not like other girls vibe, like Mariel said, right away. Cause there were some things I did agree with, honestly, that she was saying. Oh, what happened? Let's see what you guys are talking about. Love how Maddie is ready to die for her. I think for her, it's real life ghosts versus fiction. True. Times I feel like abusive behavior was kind of glossed over. Yeah, I guess because it was I guess because it was happening with like supporting characters rather than happening to Carrie directly, for sure. Because it's not like, like there's no chapters from like Debbie's point of view or anything like that. So we're not like really in her home life at all. We only just see what Carrie witnesses. So maybe that's kind of why it feels like maybe it was like glossed over because it wasn't. Yeah. But I feel that. I feel that. Everyone was abusive in some way to everyone else in the story. Is exhausting. There was a huge theme for sure, like when it comes to relationships, even within that, is like how all these characters treat each other. And I mean, I feel like the book did try and do a good job of kind of addressing all of that, particularly with Debbie and Carrie. I think like them coming to terms with their relationships for each other, and how they've relied on each other, like Carrie especially maybe relying on Debbie to the point that it became a little toxic, you know what I mean? Not that I want to say that Jack had a point at all. Because ew, sorry, I'm just gonna fix my camera at the same time. Not that I want to agree with Jack at all, but oh my god, this there we go. What was I saying? Oh, but Carrie at times did feel like she was like taking advantage of Debbie a little bit, and always just like, even though I agreed with her that like Debbie should have her own thing too, her whole thing isn't just being a mom and a wife, but at the same time Debbie is also not single, so she can't just like run around and go do stuff all the time. Like the way the Jack Debbie relationship was handled. It's abusive and toxic in a way that feels really true to life. Jack isn't a comically evil, shitty husband. I feel like there were some points that were insidious, though, although you did bring up a pop up kind of a discussion topic here that you brought up in the notes. What did you guys think about the way the Jack and Debbie relationship ended? I guess you mean the way it ended in the book, because the relationship didn't actually end. Um, they agree that Jack needs therapy, and Jack agrees to partake in therapy in order to stay with Debbie and their kids. Otherwise, Debbie would leave him, and that's like the ultimatum they come to. So that's how like they end out the book, like that Jack is actively going to therapy, which is good, I will say. Big preach that the that one of the worst characters in the book at least is going to therapy by the end of the book. Yes, I said that's why I say like one of the worst characters in the book, because the big bad of the story, the Lofa, and actually ends up being Carrie's Carrie's grandfather, who turns out, we'll just get right into the spoilers, murdered Carrie's mother, and also sexually abused her. So I don't know if we want to play which one is worse, but don't think we can compare Carrie with Jack in terms of abusive behaviors. Dude has a gun and shit. Oh yeah, yeah. I didn't mean to like compare the two like they were exactly the same, just the different types of relationships that the book was showing. Um, and poor Debbie. Can we just talk about poor Debbie? Oh my god. Um, not only is she dealing with Jack, but then she has like Carrie, who's really leaning on her to the point where it's become a little bit of a crutch. Um, Poor Debbie. And then she gets shot. Debbie really got the shit end of the stick in this book. I don't believe Jack and Debbie Don't believe Jack. And Debbie should stay away until she sees real changes. Yeah. I guess that's like part of the ending though. We don't really like they don't really get into the nitty-gritty of like what their relationship looks like at the end. I guess we don't know if he's still living with them whilst seeking therapy or he's like not staying with them while he seeks therapy. We don't really know. I absolutely do not believe that man will actively engage in therapy, but I guess trying is something, yeah. It is fiction though too, and it is nice to see in a fictional story for sure. Even if it's just in fiction, it's refreshing. I will say that. How many times can you think of like a shitty male character that definitely needed therapy that definitely did not go to therapy by the time the book was over? Yeah, the sexual abuse was glossed over as well. Yeah. I feel like it was just kind of that piece was almost like thrown in there at the end. You know what I mean? Like I was like getting to the point where like we had accepted, okay, Cecilia's probably been murdered. Like we get that. Um and then just to like throw that on at the end. But and I mean in retrospect, it then kind of made sense like why um Michael then became like the Lofa, like he's truly this monster. And that's certainly how somebody especially a kid for sure, like seeing their, with a sexually abusive parent like that would see their parent as just like this horrible, horrible monster. Um so like in retrospect, I was kind of like, oh, okay, I guess sure. But at the time when I was reading the book, I was like, really? Like, we're like, it's not bad enough that he just murdered his own daughter. It's got to be this too. Like, god damn. Um, it's easy to say that they should split, like Carrie said, but realize more complicated. I think it's good that they're trying therapy. Yeah. Debbie was just trying her best, honestly. Debbie was just trying her best. Honestly, I feel like everything was just thrown in there. Every plot point seemed like an afterthought somehow, even the horror aspects. This reads more procedural thriller. Okay. Interesting. I didn't really get the procedural thriller vibe, but okay. I can see that though. Okay. I guess again, because we don't get any like it's not like we get POVs from like Cecilia or anything either. This is all just like what Carrie's finding out. So and a lot happens right at the end of the book, like honestly. Oh yeah. Talking about Carrie's grandmother too, covering up your husband, murdering your daughter who he sexually abused. Yep. Yep. And didn't was it confirmed? Did we actually confirm or not whether Carrie's dad also knew and covered it up? Because that was Michael's story that Carrie's dad had killed Cecilia and then he helped Carrie's dad bury the body and cover it up. But do we know? I don't know that it was confirmed or not. Do we know that he also knew? Which is why he, like he drank so much and to the point where, he is at the state he's in. I don't know if it was confirmed or not. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at, and you just said it way better than me. So appreciate. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like in retrospect, yeah, the sexual abuse aspect of it and everything. I was like, okay, like that it makes sense now. Yeah. A lot of generational trauma. I feel like that's a lot about that's a big theme in the books we pick, guys. Procedural and that she's just investigating. Oh, okay. I see. Gotcha. I gotcha. I thought he didn't know. Okay. The only reason I asked is because that was Michael's story that that he did it and then helped cover it up. So I don't know if that was part of like the guilt Carrie's dad felt or whatever, if he knew that's what had happened. Um, but he might not have. He could just be like completely innocent in this and just feeling he was just obviously really distraught over his wife missing and having a newborn. For sure. I guess speaking of, I love how everything's kind of flowing into each other. Another theme that Marielle brought up is guilt. Um, I guess like the two biggest ones would be Carrie's guilt over Jamie versus Michael's guilt. Which you do have you put a really great quote in the notes about that too from the book. How wrong it was that my guilt was the same size as Michael's, which is a great quote to pull for this. Great quote to pull because that's one I agree with Carrie on. I don't think the two things that they felt guilt over were the same. Were absolutely not the same. And I don't know if I agree that Michael actually felt guilty necessarily, because if he truly felt guilty, he would have turned himself in long ago, for one. And definitely once the FBI like reopened the case or whatever, and the cops were like literally at his house. That should have been it. So I don't know. I don't know that he was like as racked with guilt necessarily as Carrie was over Jamie, which is something that she didn't directly do anything to Jamie. She obviously just felt really guilty over her friend. Exactly. Yeah, he was only worried about himself. He was like trying to throw up a excuse like, "Oh, but who's going to take care of my wife if I go to jail?" Like, like okay. Okay. Yeah, you had great notes. Of course I'm going to include them. Of course I'm going to include them. Mm-mm. I did think I want to know what you guys felt about like the addition of the storyline of Jamie, because those are like the only instances, some of the only instances where we get like flashbacks, not like Carrie's like visions flashbacks, but like legitimate flashbacks, I guess, kind of, or where Carrie's thinking about some event, because she does this a lot with Jamie. And I kind of chalked it up to like Jamie's whole purpose being kind of, this is like just a big piece of the puzzle as to like why Carrie is the way she is at the beginning of the book or whatever. She's trying to like maybe drink her troubles away a little bit. Oh yeah, 1,000%. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, that poor woman too, his wife. Oh my god, she's just, again, just like Debbie, just like she's just getting the shit end of the stick the whole time. Um, yeah, gross. But I'm wondering what you guys think of the addition of Jamie, I guess, as a character, even though she's no longer there. Because I feel like the only bearing she really had is like partially explaining why Carrie is the way she is. Because it's like it's guilt over Jamie and hating her mom, and that is like the two big pieces of her personality. Oh, you wish Jamie was a bigger part of the story. Okay. Would have loved to see a deeper dig into their connection and maybe Jamie haunting her more than her mom. Yeah, that's true. It was interesting that these are the two things that haunt Carrie the most. And with Carrie's mom, it's like I feel like Carrie put up a front that like she hated her mom, but also, like like the way she is, like kind of like a don't give a fuck attitude where it's like, yeah, I hate my mom, it's not a big deal, whatever. Um and Jamie is the one that she like really feels guilty about, and then it ends up being that her mom is like the one like really physically haunting her, like she's seeing her mom all over the place after she touches that bracelet for the first time. Um But then Jamie has the probably the biggest impact on Carrie in terms of like her feeling guilt, but it's not the one like physically haunting her. Thought the Jamie thing would have more of a payoff. Okay. Ooh, okay. We're a little split down the middle. All right. Personally felt like Jamie's character could have just been left out. Yeah. It's interesting, it's interesting. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to click it away so fast. It was interesting, yeah, because she is in a significant amount of the story for sure. Because it's like really a tool to explain Carrie's personality. She was afraid to love anyone else after Jamie, even Debbie, her best friend. She was kind of held at arm's length and didn't appreciate until she thought she was losing her. I think that's a really good way to put it, honestly. Yeah. So Carrie almost kind of had her own lofa. There was the lofa, the generational trauma um, in Michael, and then Carrie's kind of own personal lofa, I guess, was the guilt she felt over Jamie, which she had to let go of because it's not anything that Carrie did specifically. Honestly, I mean, Jamie was haunting her though, just not in the way just not in the way Cecilia was. I liked that juxtaposition though. It's like, like you have the legitimate supernatural side of a haunting, like seeing scary ghosts and things like that. And the very real side of a haunting. I guess either could be real depending on how you feel about the supernatural. Um, but a more realistic approach to a haunting, which would be like what Jamie feels about, or what Carrie feels about Jamie, excuse me. Um, Yeah, I think I'm gonna go in camp. I like the Jamie storyline. I think it added to Carrie's backstory for sure. I think it had a purpose. I do think this book could have been a little bit longer though. So I think like maybe adding some more bits with Jamie would be fine. I think there were parts that honestly felt a little bit rushed, or it felt like stuff was kind of just being thrown in like really quickly. Like I said, especially at the end, a lot gets thrown at you at the end and stuff happens really quickly. I would have been okay with this book being at least another 50 pages, I think. Because how long was it? It was like 280 pages, 290 pages. Yeah, I could have done another 50 pages or something, just spread out throughout the book. Oh, nice follow-up question, which I kind of already started answering there without you. Oh, that's a really good way to put that, Maddie. Yes, I like that. Yeah. The pacing. I thought it was. I was really debating between like marking it fast paced on Storygraph and medium paced. Because there were parts that felt like they were going by real fast, and then other parts, yeah, that I don't know if I felt that they dragged, but they were noticeably slower compared to other bits. You know what I mean? For how short it was, you felt like it dragged at times also. Yeah. And I think also because they obviously were trying to set up like the ending a little bit too. So when Carrie goes to Estes Park to the Stanley Hotel, she's also like she's like getting ready to like buy the white horse now, and so there's kind of like a a little offshoot with that where she's like getting phone calls and stuff in the middle of investigating about her mom about buying the white horse. And that was a little bit that kind of like, I'm like, why are we doing this right now? We got to find the loafa. We got to stop the loafa. What are we doing? Agree that some plot was rushed and the book could have been, yeah, just a little bit longer. Yeah. You read it in one day. Yeah. I think genuinely, yeah, if I probably could have finished this in a day too if I set out to do that. Yeah. I think this could have been a one day read for sure. Yeah, I think I agree with it. I think the pacing was uneven. Yeah. I wouldn't say like the entire book was fast paced, or I think that's why I just ultimately went with medium on Storygraph. Because the pacing was kind of all over the place. Yeah. Yeah. The bar, I was like, I'm like, you're at the Stanley Hotel. Focus. Focus, Carrie. Focus. It's great that you're going to buy the bar, but oh my God. Please stop. I mean, I guess that does bring into Maddie had a discussion question that I added here. I guess since I already brought it up, the Stanley Hotel, the Shining references, which there were a lot for sure. That's the book. The book Carrie keeps dragging around with her everywhere too. Is The Shining. Something else I wrote in my notes but didn't share with you is The Shining. I'm exhausted. Yeah, definitely a lot of references to The Shining. I think the biggest one for me, and I don't know if it was like meant to be kind of like a big direct reference or anything like that, is like the haunting of a place. I feel like the setting is very much a character in this. I watched a couple of interviews with the author Erika Wurth, and talking about the setting, and like all the places she mentions are like actual places. Obviously the Stanley Hotel is a real place, but there's other places in Denver and stuff that she's mentioning that are also real, which I feel like is a big theme in The Shining, is like the haunting of place. It's like the hotel is kind of like alive in a sense and is kind of its own character. I feel like the city is the same way in this book a little bit. Um, Honestly, I thought the constant I'm a Stephen King girly was a little exhausting. Can't relate. I don't know what that's like. I don't know what it's like to be a Stephen King girly. I guess I kind of experienced it vicariously through Carrie's eyes. For me, it had this is a horror book. We have to mention Stephen King energy. True. True, true, true. Yeah, I feel like that was like a tenuous connection that her mother also, I guess, just happened to be a Stephen King fan. Is that what it was? Because her and her sister go to the Stanley Hotel, which is why Carrie goes to the Stanley Hotel. Was is that what it was, that her mom also was a Stephen King fan or something? Why did her mom go to the Stanley Hotel? Although I guess you don't necessarily have to be like a huge Stephen King fan to go. Like maybe if you've just seen the movie. And the actual hotel is, I am on team the Stanley Hotel is haunted. So it is just like a haunted location. So it's like fun to go, and it's beautiful. I don't know if anyone's been there, but it's beautiful where it is. I did write that in my notes though too, because the places are real, and in the book they mention one of the ghosts, which is my one and only paranormal experience. They mention Lucy in the book, and I'm like, oh, I know Lucy. But yeah, I agree. As somebody who's not like I'm not a diehard Stephen King fan. I'm always just kind of like, okay. Oh, see, yeah, in Lakeside Amusement Park. Yep. Yeah, all the places are, yeah, also obsessed with Stephen King. Okay. Another our OTP is gonna be Maddie and Carrie. Yeah. I feel like that's something a lot of horror novels do though, is making references to Stephen King for sure. And obviously with The Shining being like one of his biggest books. Um they're like, if authors tend to reference Stephen King, I feel like it's The Shining that gets referenced the most also within that. Um, I just found that a bit odd. Did anyone remember? I don't know. Did anyone say? Did anyone remember why her mom went there? Because that's the only reason she goes. Because she's like kind of following her visions. Like, why did her mom go there? I'm trying to remember because it seems like very random that she, or just like a way to throw in like the biggest Stephen King reference ever. Like, I'm gonna have my character go to the Stanley Hotel. I mean, it is in the same state, so I guess it's not that big of a stretch, but it is also in Colorado. The Shining book as an artifact are one of the only constants in Carrie's life. That is true. For a lot of people, Stephen King is the introduction to horror, so he holds a special place in their hearts. I'm not bothered by people bringing it up constantly. That's true. Yeah, I definitely just see it differently because I didn't definitely was not my introduction to horror. But as a very nostalgic person, I can understand that and appreciate that. Mm-mm. She should have her original constant. Or make it another Stephen King book. I don't know. Introduce something to. I mean, I guess it wouldn't have made sense though, being in Colorado. It had to be The Shining. It had to be The Shining, I guess, because the hotel's there. I'm gonna have to flip back through the book and try and remember why the fuck Carrie's mom was there. I don't remember. I don't remember. Oh, as Auntie Squeaker points out, the Stanley Hotel, along with the bookshop, record shop, was a milestone in Carrie's personal journey. Oh, that's right. Okay. Okay. I guess that makes sense. All right, Auntie Squeaker. All right. See, this is what I mean. You have all the information and you're waiting to drop all the information, Des. You're the anti-squeaker of the book club. Okay, that makes more sense, I guess. But I think I just got hung up on the fact that like she had a picture of Cecilia and Sharon at the Stanley Hotel. So I guess I don't know why I just went ahead and made that connection. I was like, oh, that's why she's there, because it was like in her vision or something. Yeah, I was like, okay, interesting. I was just happy that they mentioned the concert hall because that is honestly the most haunted part of that hotel. And I stand by that. I was fine in the rest of the hotel, but that concert hall, fuck that concert hall. If I ever get a chance to visit that hotel again, never going in there. No thanks. I see you in the comments. I'm trying to hold it back because I feel like people got tired real quick of my Stephen King comments. Yeah. Although there are some of his books don't have some of his books that I've read don't have any of the things that I don't like about his other books. So it's very, very strange relationship I have with Stephen King's books. Um, mm, okay. Let's see. What else have we not covered yet? Oh, just a few more things sorry if it seems like a lot. Just Maddie and Marielle mentioned a lot of great things, and I wanted to make sure we covered them all. Also not a Stephen King fan. Sometimes it feels like I'm the only one. I guess I wouldn't say I'm not anymore. I don't know. It's weird. I like a good 2 or 3 of his books. Just 2 more things I want to mention too that Maddie and Marielle brought up. Other themes like abandonment. Um, so we already kind of talked about, I mean, we've been talking about Cecilia, but we talked about Carrie's relationship with Jamie, but the other like biggest piece of her like journey as a character is how she feels about her mother. And as Des pointed out, she's going on like this personal journey, but that personal journey is like really intertwined with Cecilia and how she feels about Cecilia also. Because Cecilia was killed just like 2 days. It's literal days after Carrie was born. So Carrie has obviously like zero memories of this woman other than pictures, and the fact that her father is like irrevocably changed because of her mom. So like obviously her her opinion of her mom is all bad. All bad. She's never met the woman, and her dad is a completely different person now because of it. Oh my god, don't even start with the Eli Roth. We got so off track last time we mentioned him. It's happening again with Stephen King. Pivot. We're going to talk about Whitehorse. we're gonna talk about Cecilia now. We'll put him in the creepy book club mean book. Or what was it? The creepy Pete Burn book. Mean book. Jesus. I just don't get why you would say I hate my mother. But she didn't know her. Yeah, she didn't know what happened uh to her mom though. So she also could have just left and pulled like the stray situation and just like started a whole new life somewhere. And she could have been alive and well somewhere. But yeah, I guess harboring I guess most of her hatred is mostly, I guess, directed at how like the condition her dad is in, I guess, which I guess Carrie sees as her mom's fault. Um because she really has no other frame of reference, and her father is not in a state in which he can like talk to her um and kind of explain this, which I think would have helped to heal a little bit of this maybe earlier in Carrie's life if she were able to have those conversations uh, with her dad. Um, as she was told she left as a kid, I don't know why she would think otherwise. Yeah. Refuse to allow energy to be spent on me. I think that's like part of Carrie's thing though. She has like this like air about her that she doesn't give a fuck, she doesn't care. And I think that's like the front she puts up, but obviously we have the benefit of reading the book of being inside her head, and we know that that's not necessarily the case. So I feel like she puts up a tough front. Um that, like I'm not going to give my energy to this person, but in fact she gives a lot of energy to this person. How one would feel about being abandoned as a newborn is such a specific experience. I'm not sure if anyone can imagine how it might affect you. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That is true. I think Carrie says towards the end of the book that she blamed her mother for what happened. Yeah. I think that's a lot of where it stems from. For sure. Which again, like as a kid growing up and seeing that, I could see that. I could see how she might get to that point. But she also does. I guess that also leads to our last little bit here, which I think this was from Marielle. Uh her notes. Carrie's identity as a indigenous woman. Um which is also like part of Cecilia's story as well. As she starts to investigate, she realizes, or she finds out, that Cecilia was part of uh these groups, these like activist groups and things like that, and that kind of becomes part of the mystery. Just to answer your question a little bit, Marielle, I guess. Um that I don't know that it was a misdirect. I think it was just part of finding out about Cecilia, and like literally everything she was finding out could have been a possibility, like a possible explanation as to what happened to her. Um, so I don't think it, like personally, I don't think it was um meant as a misdirection. I think it was just genuinely just part of the story. And with Carrie being an indigenous woman and her mother being an indigenous woman, I think it's probably, I obviously can't speak from personal experience, but probably would might be one of the first things you would think of if your mother, an indigenous woman, went missing, that she has now become one of the far too many murdered and missing indigenous women uh, in North America. Because it does seem confusing based on where Carrie was at the beginning, why she decided to start this journey. Yeah, the hallucinations definitely forced her hand a little bit. She touches the bracelet and then this weird shit starts happening, and obviously it starts disrupting her life. But then Auntie Squeaker kind of deliberately um kind of manipulates her focus, I guess. Like, so as because Carrie, it obviously, like, the most natural thing to do is like find out the history of the bracelet, which is what she goes to do. And then Auntie Squeaker tells her it has the power to heal. She just selectively omits the fact that it's going to heal Carrie. And so Carrie sets off on this journey to heal her dad. That's like her driving motivation. They're like, hey, if I figure out what happened to my mom, the bracelet will become mine, and then I can heal my dad. So that's like her initial motivation. And then it becomes about obviously healing Carrie, and that's like really the real thing that was supposed to happen. But yeah, yeah, again, yeah, it does put it a lot more succinctly. It was just an integral part of her experience. Like, I think that would be a natural thing that you would think, what happened to her. Oh, sorry, I meant to. You guys spoke too fast. I was trying to click on this one. Mm, I don't know one that center specifically on missing and murdered Indigenous women specifically. Sneaky little auntie squeaker. Yeah, she definitely manipulates. Yeah. If anyone has any recommendations, though, please drop them in the chat. I did also, because I saw it in the notes, and then of course, it's going to come up anyway. In the description of the video is a link for where you can find some information about the um, missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit people, because it's a very real, very unfortunately very real thing. Just thought I'd throw that in there. It's at the top of the description. I guess I wish we had a bit more insight of how Carrie feels knowing how much her mother did and how little she did herself, something more along those lines. Yeah, I feel like she has a few of those moments as she kind of investigates and she learns more about her mom. I feel like there was a bit at the end where it's very brief. She has like she acknowledges kind of like the appreciation for what her mom was trying to do, like right there at the end. Oh yeah, I'd probably recommend anything by Stephen Graham Jones, but I don't think, to my knowledge, I don't think at least the books I've read don't really touch on the MMIW thing specifically. Mm. But would definitely recommend. The Only Good Indians is my favorite book that he's written, just to be more specific about Stephen Graham Jones. Oh yeah, agree, and why I think the book could be longer. Yeah, for sure. For sure, for sure. Wow. If there's any other things you guys want to say about the book, bring up about the book, go ahead and drop them. We covered all of our notes, guys. Oh, except I guess not really like a discussion question, but more just a general like interest question. When I was reading like articles and reviews about the book, a number of publications mention this as like part of the new wave horror fiction movement. Um, and if you're like talking to me about new wave horror in terms of movies, like if you mention that, like like several movies pop into my brain as to like what could fit that like new wave horror, and I've never seen a book mentioned in that way, and I tried to Google it, and Google was not very helpful with like giving me examples of like what a new wave horror fiction would look like. So I'm curious if you guys have heard that about any other books, and like what books were they, just to give like a general idea. Just curious. More just like a genuine question and not necessarily a discussion question where I already have an answer for myself or my own opinion. I just want to know. Oh, some good suggestions being popped up here too. Make sure I'll pop them up on the screen here. I don't know if obscure is I don't know if it obscures necessarily. Because I don't think this one is obscure. I think this one is part of Book of the Month. Also, it got picked up by Book of the Month. Place I work for, Barnes and Noble, did like one of their podcast episodes, and they talked to the author. I don't even know what that means. Does maybe Own Voices? Um, Google had more of a like clear answer for movies, and they did mention Jordan Peele's movies as like new wave horror. But then also like Ari Aster and Robert Eggers were mentioned also, which I don't think applies to its Own Voices, I guess, for white guys. Um, so I don't know. I don't know if it's that clear cut, like if it's written by a person of color or something that it's new wave or oh. Code for non-white. Is it is it the like book equivalent of like elevated horror or something? You've seen it on some queer POC books? Okay. So maybe it is. Maybe it's like they're creating it some sort of like catch-all phrase or something. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I feel like it also, yeah, like especially when I looked it up in terms of movies, it gave me elevated horror energy a little bit. Although I guess like I'm sure like every generation or like every decade of horror where like the focus of horror started to shift. I guess you could theoretically call any of those new wave horror if if you're there around the time of it happening. So like the slasher era was the new wave of horror in the 80s. The meta slashers was the new wave of horror in the 90s and early aughts. You know what I mean? So maybe further down the line it'll have an actual name and not just new wave horror. Or that, yeah, maybe new wave, new voices. Okay. New wave to the straight white men. Okay, yeah, okay. You guys are making some valid points. Like they had to call it new wave because About Fucking Time wasn't as catchy. Okay. I was just curious. I appreciate your guys' input because I genuinely was like, I don't think I've just seen this mentioned from any other horror books, but it is possible I could have just missed those articles where they mentioned books being as new wave horror. I don't know. Google was not helpful at all. I will tell you that though. I am a person that does try and Google before I ask questions. um, all right. That hour flew by. Okay, yeah. So I would like to know what you guys rated White Horse, just for curiosity. I give it a 4 out of 5. And then while everybody does that, Mariel, I'm going to need you to tell us what you thought about the Mummy. So everybody else, give me your ratings. Mariel, tell me what you thought of Mummy. It was still pretty high. Okay. Still pretty high. 3.57 out of 5, a 4, 5 out of 5 as expected from Maddie, given your complete and utter devotion to the main character, which I love so much. 4 out of 5, mainly because of the uneven pacing. Yeah. I'm very much like a vibes person, so if I like the story, I'm just gonna give it a high rating. So I really like the story. The pacing was 4.5 stars. If I had to pinpoint it, it's probably the same. Like maybe because of the pacing and stuff that it lost points, I suppose. But I swear, really liked it. I swear, laughed out loud, loved the horror elements, and we'll be having nightmares with the bugs. Yeah, the bugs. Oh my god, the bugs fucked me up when I watched that as a kid. I don't remember how old I was when I first watched The Mummy, but I'm not a big fan of bugs anyway, but bugs that like crawl under your skin. Ugh. Nope, 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 nope. Oh, and Benny's end. Oh my god, when he's in the dark and then they all just like close in on him. Yeah, fuck that. At least he probably died quickly. Glad you could finally watch this movie that is definitely like a queer cultural reset for so many of my generation. We watch this and we're like, oh my god, wait, everybody's hot. Wait. You might or two. I mean, I specifically asked you for the Mummy rating and everybody else for the book rating. So thank you for sharing your book rating also. Watched the movie so many times. Yeah, I could probably do a one woman show of that movie, I think. I might be able, I've never tried, but I might be able to recite the entirety of the dialogue word for word. Possibly even the the parts that aren't in English. Possibly. I've seen it that many times. Scarabs wouldn't do that in real life. I try and think about that when I watch the when I watch the movie. I try and think. I really do. It's hard though because I am scared of bugs. I would love to do that. Get all the costumes together and try and play every single character. It would be chaotic, but yeah, it'd be chaotic. Um, okay. If you watched last night's stream, I did not have a good like movie watching month. I didn't have a good reading month either. White Horse was all I read. That was all I clearly had time for. I have a lot of books started. If you watch my video where I started a whole bunch of books, so I did that to myself. What did everybody else read this month? Let me read you February vicariously through you guys. Like, what else did you guys read? Because I didn't finish anything else. It's not that I didn't read anything else. I just only finished the one book. Would pay to see. Hey, who's saying it would be a Broadway disaster? It could be a hit. You never know. You never know. Don't speak loud. You must not read from the book. Oh, Discworld. Discworld is a series I've wanted to read, but it seems so intimidating. There's a lot of books. It might take me my entire life to finish that. And then I'll end up a ghost because I'll have unfinished business. Tress of the Emerald Sea, Speak Okinawa, The Maid, North and South. Wow. All right. Brag about it, Catherine. I'm glad somebody got a lot read because it wasn't me. Oh, did you like In a Dark, Dark Wood? That is the only Ruth Ware book I've read. Gave a glass onion feeling. Okay. Yeah, that's the only Ruth Ware book I've ever read. And I honestly really only picked it up because of the title. That reminded me of that children's book, In a Dark, Dark Wood, There's a Dark, Dark House. Excited to hear your thoughts when you finish Exquisite Corpse. Just finished. Oh, you just finished it. Okay. I did find the audio for that one also. So I went ahead and borrowed that from the library. So I think now that I finished White Horse, because I was partially listening to this one like to and from work, I think I'm gonna keep listening to Exquisite Corpse. You read 11 books? Shit, Maddie. It's the shortest month of the year. How did you do that? Teach me your ways. Read A Head Full of Ghosts. Okay, things have gotten worse since we last spoke. And Tender as the Flesh. That's such a good book. I've been getting a lot of people at work coming in, like customers coming in and specifically asking for books that made me cry. And for actually quite a few people, I have given them Tender as the Flesh because the ending of that book did make me cry. It was such a gut punch. Like, it was just so like, oh my God, humans suck, the world sucks. Like, I legitimately cried at the end of that book. Read some horror poetry. Horror is a genre within poetry. Oh my God, why didn't nobody tell me? I've never been a poetry person except for like Edgar Allan Poe, which would be like the only thing I could maybe think of being horror poetry. Although I think a lot of Edgar Allan Poe's poems are kind of just sad and tragic. Okay, so I'm writing this one down at least. If you have more recommendations, Mindy, please. Or if you ever like make a video or something about horror poetry, please tag me. Choking. Misspelled choking right off the bat. My little notepad here. Oh my God. Back devil. By Lynch. Okay. Have to give that a try. Still reading Forbidden Colors by Yukio Mishima. Never heard of that. You only finished this and a novella, Burning Roses. Yeah. You read 9? Goodness. You guys are impressive. Read every single Heartstopper book, nice, and then a book about the history of communicative diseases. What? What is that book called? That one interesting. I want to know about that one. It would be like Heartstopper. It's so cute. It's like so sweet. It almost gave me a cavity on, honestly. Like normally I like to, pepper in maybe like a cute book here or there between like all the dark stuff I read and like the fantasy books and stuff like that. But Heartstopper, I had to take a break from reading because I'm like, oh my God, like it's so sweet. It's just so sweet. Uh, you read The Death of Mrs. Westaway by Ruth Ware. Okay. Working through Grady Hendrix and Junji Ito. Yes, that's right. Yep. How far, like, what have you read Grady Hendrix wise, though? Curious. Also read the last. Oh, what did you think of The Last Final Girl? I I was very conflicted about that book. I have very mixed feelings. I feel like I really wanted to love it, and the way the format of the book is a bit wild. I may have to reread it. It's so short. I may have to reread it. You're at a feminist fairy tale retelling of Sleeping Beauty. Oh, a Spindle Splintered. I've read that. I read that. It's a little it was a little multiverse actually. I was surprised the Spindle Splintered. It ended up being like kind of like multiverse Sleeping Beauty, which is cool. A little bit at the end there, Started the Honeys. Okay. Don't Fear the Reaper. I was debating whether I wanted to read it because, like, My Heart is a Chainsaw. It was like, I really liked some parts. But especially given the ending of My Heart is a Chainsaw, I'm very curious to see is like what goes on in Don't Fear the Reaper. Watched very few movies, either have a good reading. I mean, that makes sense. You can really only do one at a time. Truly, I mean, if you wanted to like actually pay attention to them, yeah. I was gonna ask you if like the ending is different, but I don't know if I trust you now after after Martyrs. I have not read any from that author. Yeah, I love that book a lot. Yeah, I do give a little warning for people that buy that work like just I listened to the audiobook for that one. And I remember like driving to work and there were some parts like I was like dry heaving because it was just oh oh. His horror is very depressing with a hit of David Lynch. Okay. A lot of good horror poetry collections out by Raw Dog Screaming Press. Thank you. I'm writing this down. Raw Dog Screaming Press. Appreciate that. Gonna look into that. Also read A Dowry of Blood. Did you like it? It's excellent. It was good. I want to read it so bad. It's just one of those. It's like, yeah, it's on my list. Another news: my copy of A Day of Fallen Night. Yay! one of my one of my coworkers asked me, "Did I finish it yet?" And I'm like, "Bitch, this just came out on Tuesday. Do you know how thick that book is?" Like, no, I have not finished it yet. It's like I work full time here. I have not had time to finish it. Jesus. I did buy it on Tuesday when it came out, but Jesus Christ. The book is called Patient Zero by Lydia Kang. I picked it up after Rebecca McKendry mentioned it. Oh, okay. Patient Zero. I'll write that one down too. Sounds interesting. The ending's brutal, but perfect. Yeah, it is brutal. It made me cry. Started the honey. Okay, I haven't started it yet. But yeah. Last Final Girl, the audio is better for me with that format. Okay, maybe I'll try the audio. Have the honeys waiting for you. I guess that's a good little like segue to kind of start to close out. So we are reading the honeys. I said next month. It's this month's read. We're in March already. We're reading the honeys by Ryan LaSala. This is a YA horror. YA horror specifically. It's our only young adult one in this round, I think. Yeah, because that's everything coming up. Yeah, so this is the only YA one we have this time around. This little grouping. Interesting of us. All right. Really excited to get into this one though. It's gotten hot again in Florida, so at least for me, I feel like the setting is appropriate. Maybe not for everybody else in other parts of the world and the United States where it's still like snowing and stuff, but the temperatures hiking back up down here. So if you don't do the audio of the honeys, if you have issues with bugs, why? Are is there sound effects? I genuinely need to know because I do like to listen to audiobooks too. Like I because I was gonna get it so I could listen like to and from work and stuff and keep reading it. There's a lot of like legitimate buzzing. Oh no, yeah, no, no, no. I can't be doing bug sounds, so we're just gonna straight up read this one. I do have a hardback, yeah. When we decide the books, I buy them like right, so just have them already. It helps for like trying to take pictures and stuff for Instagram and things like that. So bought it from work before. I think it was the last copy too. Still very cold in Canada. Yeah, sorry. The book will warm you up though. The look of concern. I, I am not a bug person. I appreciate what most of them do for the ecosystem and everything. I'm very much a like, if you stay away from me, I will stay away from you. I will, yeah. I'll look into where I can read it, and I will definitely check that out. I wrote it down. I'm writing down like all the all the books and stuff that you guys are mentioning. Um, it definitely has background noise. Damn. Okay, yeah, we might have to skip that audio for me. There you go. Yeah, it'd be good fuel for the winter months. Oh, it's on Webtoons. Okay, cool. Yeah, I have that app. I think. All right. Wow, this one we went for a little bit for this one. Good job. Except they never stay away. That's the problem. At least bugs. They like. I feel like I give off this aura where they're like, okay, we're not gonna bug her. Bug her. So yeah. Okay. Thanks for a great discussion, guys. Thank you again, Maddie and Marielle, for your awesome notes. Uh, in the doc, which is pinned. So definitely, if you come to Creepy Book Club, the doc is for you. I don't share this anywhere else except during the lives. So I'll go ahead and add in a space there for the honeys. So as you finish, you can like jot in any like notes or anything you want to like themes or discussions you want to bring up during the live. So thanks for joining. Enjoy the honeys and stay tuned in about a month for news on the next live. Um, yeah, so have a good night. Have a good rest of your day wherever you are, and have a good weekend, guys. Good night.